How are we going, everybody? Well, we've been cleaning our raised garden beds, pulled out all our autumn winter crop, and yes, it's been very late for us, this side of town especially. So for all of you who've planted your tomatoes, like Andreas, who's got some beautiful tomatoes, you're going to see him up in the next episode, we're going to plant ours now. So we've only just started planting. Yes, it's late in the season by the weather and the cycle of events that we're experiencing. I reckon we're okay. We've got plenty of time up our sleeves. You need a good 3 or 4 months for the tomatoes, and they'll start to ripen when the hot weather comes in. So these beds have been prepared, and we've basically taken everything out and we've added our planting mix. For those who don't know our planting mix, and you can get some soon to be available in a lot of places, but for now we've only got Click and Collect available from Lethbridge and Dandenong North, and a few outlets in the northern regions like Pascoe Vale and Ascot Vale. Get some into your garden. You can top dress it, and let me show you what we've done here. So this is the mulch that's been put on top, but it's been inoculated. Look, drip system. We've got a drip system installed every 30 centimetres all the way across. It's under the mulch. Now under that is our planting mix. Now this is about 3 inches thick. It's got compost, cow manure, superfood, blackwood, all the wonderful stuff. I don't turn the soil over, unlike Andreas, who wants to turn his soil over, and that's fine. You can turn a little bit over, but if you've got a garden bed between concrete walls and footings, no doubt it's going to go hard, so you need to break it up. So there's no harm in doing that unless you're doing broad acreage and you're constantly tilling the soil and destroying the life in the soil. You don't want to do that. These beds are really good because they're decomposing underneath and we're just layering. Now, questions that have been coming through to me, folks: how often do you water your garden? That's a tough question, and I've said that before already. You know, how long's a piece of string? I can't tell you how often you need to water your garden. It can be once a week, could be twice a week. Some people do deep watering once a week. Others just do very shallow. And the only way you're going to know if you need to keep hydrating your garden is by testing the moisture level. Now, you can stick your finger in, as I've said to you many a times, or get your hands on one of these, the 4-in-1 soil survey instrument. I showed this about a year or two ago, and I haven't grabbed it in front of the camera for a long time, but I'll tell you something, it's a good little unit because it's got 4 different functions in it. First one, and the most important one for you guys when we're talking about water, is how wet is your soil. Now, on the screen at the bottom there, it's got 1 droplet, 2 droplets and 3 droplets telling you how wet it is. We stick it in, and as we can see, it says it is wet. We can add a little bit more water to this. Now, we haven't irrigated this. I mean, we haven't turned on the irrigation. We've only top watered it, and we gave it a good soaking by hand. So this will need to be hydrated a bit more. Single droplet says wet plus. Temperature, 21 degrees. That's what we want. And sun level, so we've got normal light. So good lighting. Now, the next part of this is the pH. So we're going to test the pH on this. Now I want this to sit around 7.5 maximum. If it gets down to 6.5, it's okay. 7 is a good neutral area. Oh, there we are. We're at 7. So that's a neutral base. So we've got good activity. So it's really good growing medium for your microbes. That's what you want, folks. You want your microbes to breed there, to feed the plant to feed the microbes, and me to keep petting Cara every day. Huh? Isn't that right, Cara? Good girl. Now, just to be safe, folks, I've brought out the big guns. This is a soil pH test kit, which is powder and liquid, and you've got a little chart that tells you how to read it. So the purple indicates it's really alkaline, and as it gets lighter, it shows you going into a more neutral state. So we're in that green sort of grey area. 6.5 is the borderline of neutral, and then we go into the acidity level. So if you start getting a result in these colours, well, that's going to blow your brains away, because if you get into the yellows and orange, you've got basically battery acid living in your soil, and most plants will die from that. So you want it to be in this area here. 6.5, 7, 7.5. So we're sitting about 6 here at the moment. It could hit a pocket. This is down below our existing new mulch that we've applied. So let me just expose this to show you. So we're at 7. Just going to knock it back down and see how far down it goes. It got down to 6, 7.5. It might go down to 6, but while we're doing that, I shouldn't disturb it. I'm going to take a sample of soil right where it's taken the measurement from, so we can gauge it. So it's 6, 7, yeah, 6.5. That's where we're heading. Okay, so that's how far down I've got to go. Great. Don't mind me. Lucky it's not clay soil, eh? Yeah, I'm using my finger, so you're going to tell me, oh, that's going to affect the pH level too. So now we put some of the liquid stuff on, hydrate it, like that. And then we dust it with the magic powder. And we just got to leave it for a couple of seconds to absorb and give us our final result. So we said 7, huh? We want to know if this 4-in-1 soil survey instrument is accurate. 8. You can see a little bit of 7 going on in there. 8, 7.5. What do you reckon? A little bit of 8 there, just a bit of purple there, a little bit of 7 over here, and that depends if you're not colourblind. Well, there you go, folks. I think it's pretty accurate. So let's just check the moisture level again, because that is wet underneath there. And that's another thing about this. That's still decomposing. That's still composting. You'll have some pockets of it being a bit more acidic, where others are a little bit more alkaline. So the average would be around the 7, 7.5. I wouldn't say 8.5, even though you can see a little bit of pocket there. Over time, you'll see that overall, if you mix that in and blend it and let it age a little bit more, I reckon it would sit around 7, 7.5. But anyway, back to the moisture level. We are wet, folks. We've got wet plus, so that means there's plenty of water here. We don't have to irrigate this for a couple of days at least. Well, there's no plants in it yet. This is the middle bed. This one we prepared today. And what do we got here? So we've got the temperatures at 20 degrees. It's wet and normal sun. It's actually a low sun now. It's about to go down. Oh, I've covered the light. That's why it's doing it. And the pH is 9, 8.5. You better go down. 8, 7.5. Come on, 7. Can we get 7? 7. Any more? So we've got a balanced planting mix here, folks. Beautiful stuff for your garden bed. Next. All right, let's test this bed here, because we've just finished preparing the base and we're about to mulch it. And before we do that, Cara, I'm not a lollipop. And we've got 20 degrees now, and it says wet plus, so that means it's wet underneath there. We don't have to add any water. Now let's flick over to the pH. Now let's see what we get here. Again, 7 is what I'm aiming for. 6.5 is good too. And when it comes to reading the pH, folks, you've got to be patient with it too. So it's not like the moisture meter where you stick it in, gives you the reading straight away. With the pH, you need to leave it in there for at least a minute to 2 minutes so that it can adjust itself and find the final reading for you. This will keep coming down for at least another 30 or 40 seconds. So we're sitting at 8.5 here. It better come down. Now, I do have beds that are notoriously dry. This is one of them that I haven't done anything for a long time. We've got some strawberries. We've pulled out the garlic, and they were quite small because of the dehydration. This bed is dry on top. Have a look at that. So I'm just going to lie it there like this and see what it says. And there, just in the surface, and that's where the garlic was growing. It's dry. Now, we have been hydrating this. Let me get it back to Celsius. It's 20 degrees. It's dry, but if I go pushing it down a little bit, we've got moisture there, folks, because I realised we were having a problem, so we've got the drip system working again. This needs a couple of lines. So if we dig down a little bit, we have moisture. There it is. Now, the surface has died off. It's become sandy loam because we haven't got enough mulch and we haven't been composting this area. So this needs our black grit, our superfood, our planting mix, and a layer of straw over the top, and a double, triple line of irrigation, and we should be fine. This is the opposite side. We've actually put a little bit of our planting mix and a little bit more mulch on top. Same bed, and it's wet. Just below the surface, we have got moisture in here, folks. Have a look at that. It says wet plus, so we don't have to add any water, and it's 22 degrees, and the sun level is low. Okay, now we're just going to switch it over to get the pH reading on this, folks. So we're sitting at 8 at the moment. If we can get, 7.5, beautiful. If it gets down to 7, even better. But I'm happy with that. There you are, folks. The 4-in-1 soil survey instrument is a good little unit to have if you want to measure the 4 different factors: sun, moisture, heat, and pH. Really nifty, but if you want to cross-reference that, get yourself the powder and liquid form as well, so you can do a bit of a trial on the side so you can get the accuracy so you can understand it better. And these are the tomatoes from Andrea, so we're going to go back there tomorrow to see the rest of his garden, but these are the ones that got transplanted from his garden. They were beautiful and healthy, come to my garden, and they've been burnt, blown around. Look at that, burnt marks from the sun. So that's been scorched. Nothing else but the sun itself there, folks. But they'll settle down. You can see they're still holding themselves up. They've actually taken well. And this one over here is actually putting on a new shoot down their side there. See that nicely? Now what we do with this is top it up with soil as they grow taller, and we develop bigger roots on it. Now if you're looking for the 4-in-1 soil servo, we just brought it back online, folks. They're available. Use the coupon code word Merry Christmas to get yourself an extra 20% off the discounted prices. Everything's on special, and Blackroot Superfood with the free shipping is going to end at the end of the week, folks. We can't be giving it away like that anymore. So take advantage of it while you can. Stock up as much as you need to because it will end. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow at Andrea's house. From me, Vasily, Maresi.